Fishing vessels are working boats built to catch fish and other seafood, from small coastal craft to huge ships that stay at sea for weeks. They work by carrying gear such as nets, lines, traps, or dredges, then storing the catch on ice or in chilled holds so it stays fresh. Some process fish on board, like floating factories, cleaning and freezing the catch before returning to port. Their design depends on the job. Stability for rough seas, open deck space for gear, and strong winches to haul heavy loads. A surprising fact is that the world's biggest fishing ships can collect and freeze hundreds of tons of fish in a single trip, making them some of the most productive food harvesting machines on Earth. A passenger ferry is a ship designed to carry people, and often cars, buses, or trucks, across rivers, bays, lakes, or short sea routes. Ferries work like moving bridges, running on regular schedules, and loading through ramps or side doors so vehicles and passengers can get on and off quickly. Many are built for stability and frequent stops rather than high speed, though some modern ferries use waterjet systems and lightweight hulls to travel fast. Inside, they may have lounges, open decks, and simple services for short trips. An interesting fact is that some of the busiest ferry routes in the world carry more people each year than many airports, making ferries a vital part of daily public transport. Cruise ships are passenger ships built mainly for vacation travel, combining transportation with hotels, restaurants, theaters, pools, and entertainment. They work by carrying thousands of guests between ports, while providing everything needed for life on board, from food and power to fresh water made by onboard systems. Modern cruise ships use large diesel-electric machinery, where engines generate electricity that powers the ship and its services. Their wide hulls and stabilizers help reduce rolling, making the ride more comfortable. A surprising fact is that the largest cruise ships are longer than many skyscrapers are tall, and can carry more people than a small town, including both passengers and crew. A sailing ship is powered mainly by the wind, using sails fixed to masts. For centuries, these ships moved people, goods, and explorers across the world before engines took over. They work by using the shape and angle of the sails to capture wind and turn it into forward motion, even allowing the ship to move partly against the wind by zigzagging. The hull, keel, and rudder help balance and steer the ship. Today, most sailing ships are used for training, sport, tourism, or historic preservation rather than trade. A fascinating fact is that some modern cargo experiments are bringing sails back, because wind power can cut fuel use and reduce pollution on long ocean routes. A tugboat is a small but extremely powerful vessel used to push or pull much larger ships. Tugs work by using strong engines, heavy hulls, and special towing gear to guide ships through harbors, narrow channels, and docking areas where precise control matters more than speed. Many modern tugboats can rotate their propellers or use azimuth thrusters, letting them move sideways or spin almost in place. They are essential when a giant ship must stop, turn, or berth safely in tight spaces. An interesting fact is that a tug can be only a tiny fraction of the size of the ship it helps, yet still control it, because it applies force exactly where and when it is needed. A pilot boat is a fast, sturdy vessel that carries harbor pilots out to arriving ships and brings them back after departure. A pilot is a local navigation expert who boards large vessels to guide them safely through difficult waters such as busy ports, shallow channels, or river entrances. The pilot boat works by racing out in all kinds of weather, matching speed with the larger ship, and holding steady while the pilot transfers using a ladder. Because this job can be risky, pilot boats are built for speed, stability, and strong handling in rough seas. A surprising fact is that the transfer often happens while both vessels are still moving, making it one of the most skilled routine operations in shipping. A general cargo ship carries many kinds of packaged goods that do not fit neatly into one special category. Instead of huge tanks or rows of containers, it has cargo holds for boxes, machinery, steel, timber, bags, and other break-bulk freight loaded piece by piece. These ships work by using cranes, hatches, and careful stowage plans so cargo is balanced and protected during the voyage. They are especially useful for ports that lack large container terminals, or for cargo that is oversized or awkwardly shaped. An interesting fact is that before container shipping transformed world trade, general cargo ships were the standard cargo vessel, and loading them could take days instead of hours. A container ship carries cargo packed into standard steel boxes called containers. This simple idea changed global trade, because the same container can move by ship, truck, and train without unloading the goods inside. Container ships work by stacking these boxes in cell guides below deck and in towering rows above deck, then securing them so they stay in place in rough seas. Giant port cranes load and unload them quickly, making transport far faster and cheaper than older methods. These ships are built for efficiency, with long hulls and huge carrying capacity. A surprising fact is that the largest container ships can carry more than 20,000 containers on one voyage, linking factories and stores across continents. A roll-on/roll-off ship, often called a RORO, carries wheeled cargo such as cars, trucks, buses, trailers, and construction machines. Instead of being lifted by cranes, the cargo rolls on and off through ramps, which makes loading fast and efficient. Inside, these ships have multiple decks, like a floating parking garage, with lanes, ventilation, and tie-down points to keep vehicles secure. Some are pure car carriers with tall boxy shapes, while others handle mixed vehicle cargo. Their design focuses on easy access and careful weight balance. An interesting fact is that the biggest car carriers can transport around 6,000 vehicles at once, enough to stock many dealership lots from a single voyage. A bulk carrier moves unpackaged dry cargo such as iron ore, coal, grain, fertilizer, or cement. Instead of containers or vehicles, it has large open holds that are filled directly with loose material. These ships work by using hatches for loading and unloading, and by carefully distributing cargo so the ship stays balanced and the hull is not overstressed. Some ports use giant conveyor systems or grab cranes to handle the cargo. Bulk carriers are a backbone of global industry because they move the raw materials used to make steel, electricity, food, and buildings. A surprising fact is that some of the largest bulk carriers are so huge they can carry enough iron ore in one trip to help produce steel for entire city-scale projects. An oil tanker is a ship built to carry crude oil or refined fuels in large liquid cargo tanks. It works like a floating pipeline, using pumps, valves, and separate tank spaces to load, carry, and unload massive amounts of liquid safely. Tankers are designed with safety systems such as inert gas in tanks to reduce fire risk, and many have double hulls to help protect against spills if the outer skin is damaged. Different tankers serve different trades, from smaller coastal fuel carriers to giant ocean-going crude carriers. An interesting fact is that the largest oil tankers can move so much cargo in one voyage that their load is measured in millions of barrels, making them among the biggest moving objects humans have ever built. A chemical tanker carries liquid chemicals, often many different kinds at the same time, in separate specialized tanks. Unlike an oil tanker, which may carry one broad type of cargo, a chemical tanker must handle liquids that can react, corrode metal, or need careful temperature control. It works through complex piping, pumps, tank coatings, and strict cleaning procedures so one cargo does not contaminate the next. Crew members follow detailed safety rules because even small mistakes can be dangerous. These ships are essential for moving ingredients used in plastics, medicines, paints, and fertilizers. A surprising fact is that some chemical tankers can carry dozens of different cargoes at once, each isolated in its own tank system like a floating chemistry warehouse. A liquefied gas carrier transports gases such as natural gas, propane, or butane after they have been cooled or pressurized into liquid form. Turning gas into liquid shrinks its volume dramatically, making long-distance transport practical. These ships work with insulated tanks, powerful cooling systems, and careful pressure control to keep the cargo stable during the voyage. Some have large spherical tanks that rise above the deck, while others use membrane tanks hidden inside the hull. They are among the most specialized merchant ships, because the cargo must stay within strict temperature and safety limits. An interesting fact is that liquefied natural gas is carried at about -162 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze ordinary materials, brittle if not properly designed. A refrigerated cargo ship, often called a reefer ship, carries food and other products that must stay cold, such as fruit, meat, fish, or medicines. It works by using insulated cargo spaces and cooling machinery to hold precise temperatures throughout the voyage. This is important because even a small change in temperature can spoil the cargo or shorten its shelf life. Reefer ships were especially important before refrigerated containers became common, and they are still used for trades that need fast delivery or careful climate control. Their design focuses on airflow, insulation, and reliable power for cooling systems. A surprising fact is that the banana trade helped drive the growth of refrigerated shipping, changing diets in countries far from tropical farms. A heavy lift ship is designed to transport cargo that is too large or too heavy for ordinary vessels, such as giant cranes, factory parts, wind turbine pieces, or even other boats. These ships work by using extremely strong decks, powerful onboard cranes, and careful engineering plans that spread weight safely across the hull. Some can load cargo by partly submerging themselves, so floating structures can be moved on board, then rising again with ballast systems. Heavy lift shipping makes it possible to move industrial equipment across oceans without taking it apart. An interesting fact is that entire offshore platforms and damaged warships have been carried this way, turning the ship into a kind of moving dry dock for outsized cargo. A cable-laying ship installs communication and power cables on the seabed. These vessels are essential for modern life because much of the world's internet travels through fiber optic cables laid across oceans. The ship works by carrying huge coils of cable in tanks, then slowly paying it out through special machinery while following a precise route. It uses navigation systems, seabed maps, and often remotely operated vehicles to place and inspect the cable. The process must be gentle, because the cable is valuable and can be damaged by too much tension. A surprising fact is that despite satellites getting lots of attention, most international data still moves through undersea cables rather than through space. An icebreaker is a ship built to travel through frozen waters by breaking sea ice. It works with a very strong hull, a specially shaped bow, and powerful engines that let the ship ride up onto the ice and crush it with its weight. Some also use bubbler or water systems to reduce friction along the hull. Icebreakers open routes for cargo ships, research vessels, and supply missions in polar regions and cold seas. Their crews must understand both navigation and ice behavior, because ice can trap or damage ordinary ships. An interesting fact is that some of the most powerful icebreakers are nuclear-powered, allowing them to operate for long periods without refueling in remote Arctic conditions. A research vessel is a ship equipped for scientific work at sea. It can study oceans, weather, marine life, the seafloor, or climate change, using laboratories, sensors, sonars, and sampling gear. These ships work by serving as floating science stations, giving researchers a stable platform to launch instruments, collect water and sediment samples, and track conditions over long distances. Many have dynamic positioning systems that help them hold almost exactly still, even in wind and waves. Their design depends on the mission, but flexibility is key because science often changes from one voyage to the next. A surprising fact is that research vessels have discovered mountain ranges, volcanic vents, and new species in parts of the ocean humans had never seen before. A hospital ship is a vessel fitted out as a floating medical center, with operating rooms, wards, pharmacies, and emergency care facilities. It works by bringing treatment to places where hospitals are damaged, overwhelmed, or far away, such as disaster zones, war areas, or remote coastal regions. These ships carry doctors, nurses, technicians, and supplies, and they can support both surgery and long-term recovery. Because they are mobile, they can shift quickly to where help is most needed. Their design balances medical space with living quarters, power, water, and sanitation systems. An interesting fact is that some hospital ships have treated hundreds of thousands of patients over their service lives, acting like traveling cities of care. An offshore supply vessel supports oil and gas platforms, wind farms, and other offshore operations by carrying cargo, equipment, fuel, water, and workers. It works like a seagoing service truck, traveling between shore bases and offshore sites, with open deck space and below-deck tanks for supplies. Many are built for rough conditions and have dynamic positioning, which helps them stay in place near platforms without drifting. Some also handle anchors, tow rigs, or support underwater work. These ships are vital because offshore structures depend on regular deliveries to keep operating safely. A surprising fact is that offshore supply vessels often work in weather that would keep many other ships away, because remote energy sites cannot simply pause when the sea gets difficult. A dredger is a ship that removes sand, mud, or gravel from the bottom of rivers, harbors, and coastal areas. It works by scooping, sucking, or cutting material loose, and then lifting it into the vessel or pumping it elsewhere. Dredgers keep shipping channels deep enough for large ships, help create new land, and can even restore beaches by moving sand back onto shore. Different types use different tools, but the goal is the same: reshape the underwater ground so waterways stay usable. Their work is often hidden from public view, yet ports depend on it constantly. An interesting fact is that some of the world's busiest harbors would become too shallow for modern cargo ships surprisingly quickly if dredging stopped. A salvage vessel is used to rescue damaged, stranded, sunken, or disabled ships and recover valuable cargo. It works by bringing towing power, pumps, cranes, divers, and specialist equipment to emergencies at sea. Salvage teams may refloat a grounded ship, remove fuel to prevent pollution, patch holes, or cut apart wrecks for recovery. These vessels are part engineering platform, part rescue ship, and part environmental response unit. Their crews must solve difficult problems fast, often in bad weather and dangerous conditions. A surprising fact is that some famous salvage jobs have involved lifting enormous wrecks piece by piece or rolling them upright, showing that even ships that seem hopelessly lost can sometimes be recovered with enough planning and technology. A patrol boat is a fast vessel used by coast guards, police, customs agencies, or navies to watch coastal waters and respond quickly. It works by combining speed, communication equipment, and maneuverability so crews can inspect vessels, enforce laws, carry out rescues, or intercept smugglers. Some patrol boats are small and agile for rivers and harbors, while others are larger offshore ships able to stay at sea longer. Their design often includes radar, strong searchlights, and room for boarding teams. They are important because much of maritime security happens close to shore, not on the open ocean. An interesting fact is that patrol boats often perform far more search and rescue missions than combat missions, making them everyday lifesavers as well as law enforcers. A mine countermeasure vessel is built to find and remove naval mines, which are hidden explosive devices placed in the water. These ships work carefully because mines can be triggered by sound, pressure, or magnetic fields. To reduce risk, many are made from materials with low magnetic signatures and use sonar, underwater drones, and remotely controlled devices to locate and neutralize mines without getting too close. Their job is slow and precise, but it is vital for keeping sea lanes and harbors safe for other ships. An interesting fact is that a relatively cheap sea mine can threaten vessels worth hundreds of millions of dollars, which is why mine clearing remains one of the most important and specialized naval tasks. An amphibious assault ship is a warship designed to carry troops, vehicles, helicopters, and landing craft for operations that move forces from sea to shore. It works like a mobile base, transporting personnel over long distances and then launching them by air or by sea when they reach the target area. Many have a large flight deck like a small aircraft carrier, plus a floatable well deck at the stern where landing craft can float in and out. These ships support military operations, disaster relief, and evacuations. A surprising fact is that some amphibious assault ships can operate advanced fighter jets as well as helicopters, giving them capabilities that overlap with smaller aircraft carriers. A destroyer is a fast, heavily armed warship built to protect fleets and carry out many different missions. It works as a flexible naval platform, using radar, missiles, guns, sonars, and helicopters to defend against aircraft, submarines, and surface ships. Modern destroyers are packed with electronics that detect threats far beyond the horizon, then coordinate weapons and other ships in the group. Their speed and range let them escort carriers, patrol strategic waters, or launch strikes on land targets. Although the name sounds simple, destroyers are among the most capable warships in service. An interesting fact is that the term originally came from ships meant to destroy torpedo boats, but today, destroyers are multi-role combat ships at the center of many fleets. A frigate is a medium-sized warship designed for escort and patrol duties, especially protecting merchant ships, convoys, and larger naval vessels. It works by combining good range, efficient operation, and a balanced set of weapons for anti-submarine, anti-air, and surface warfare. Frigates often carry a helicopter, which greatly extends their ability to search for submarines or inspect ships over a wide area. Compared with destroyers, they are usually smaller and somewhat less heavily armed, but they are highly versatile and widely used. An interesting fact is that the word frigate has been used for centuries, yet its meaning has changed over time, showing how navies adapt old ship names to new technologies and missions. A corvette is a small warship built for coastal defense, patrol, and escort work. It works by packing useful sensors and weapons into a compact, more affordable vessel that can operate in shallower waters and smaller ports than larger warships. Corvettes are often used by countries that need strong local maritime protection without the cost of a big blue water fleet. Many carry missiles, guns, radar, and sometimes a helicopter deck, giving them serious capability despite their size. Their smaller crews and lower operating costs make them attractive for routine missions. A surprising fact is that some modern corvettes are stealth-shaped to reduce radar visibility, meaning a relatively small ship can be surprisingly hard for an enemy to detect. A submarine is a vessel designed to travel underwater for long periods. It works by using ballast tanks to control buoyancy, taking in water to dive and pushing it out to rise. Once submerged, it moves with propellers or pump jet systems and navigates using sonar, because light and radio signals do not travel well underwater. Some submarines are diesel-electric and must surface or snorkel at times, while nuclear-powered ones can stay submerged for months. They are used for defense, surveillance, and sometimes scientific work. A fascinating fact is that modern military submarines can be so quiet that detecting them is one of the hardest tasks in naval warfare, turning the ocean into a giant three-dimensional hiding place. An aircraft carrier is a warship that serves as a mobile airbase at sea. It works by launching and recovering aircraft from a long flight deck, allowing a country to project air power far from land bases. Carriers carry fuel, weapons, maintenance crews, radar systems, and escorts, so they can operate as the center of a whole naval group. Different carriers use different launch methods, from ski jumps to catapults, and some carry helicopters as well as jets. Their size and complexity make them among the most expensive ships ever built. An interesting fact is that a large carrier can support around-the-clock flight operations in the middle of the ocean, effectively bringing an airport to wherever it is needed.